Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. What's up, Morgan?
Good morning, good morning. How we feeling on a Tuesday?
Feeling good, girl.
Good, all right, I love to hear it. So let's get into it. President Trump wants the Justice Department to go after those who burn the American flag. Now, this comes as multiple videos are surfacing online of people burning the American flag in protest, which is legal, by the way. I'll get into that. President Trump signed an executive order on Monday, ordering Attorney General Pam Bondi to prosecute those who violate existing flag desecration laws. Now, President Trump said burning flags leads to riots and they must crack down. Let's take a listen to President Trump's comments.
Perhaps much more important, it's called death. Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. It incites riots at levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy.
So the executive order calls on the DOJ to pursue litigation to clarify the scope of the First Amendment relating to flag desecration. Now, Trump is demanding that flag burners get at least a minimum of 1 year in jail. The Supreme Court ruled in 1989 that flag burning as a part of political protest is protected under the First Amendment. Now, you can't use a flag to light your grill, but you can certainly burn one in protest only.
Yeah, so, I always wondered, why that was. I understand it's free speech, but it's just like I always wondered why would you want to do that if you are an American, if you're a patriot. You know what I mean? If you consider yourself a patriot, like why would you want to burn the American flag?
Maybe you're protesting policies in your country. I mean, this happened to a man outside of the White House the other day. He was arrested for burning a flag, not so much because the flag was burning, but because you're not allowed to light fires on federal.
Well, you want the country to actually be better, and you want the country to that flag symbolizes what that country stands for. And you want that country to actually stand up for that flag and to stand up for the creed that it puts out there. That's what you actually want.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I'm not sure, a lot of protests, leave us wondering why did we protest that way. But, they're not going to get too much into that.
I don't know. It just reminds me of like when people, burn the jerseys of their favorite players.
That's crazy.
Like, just because you're mad.
Yeah.
It's like, but you still love the team.
Yeah, you still love your country, right? You would think, but it's weird. And then if you burn a flag in any other country, you're going to jail for life.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, you could be killed going,
Damn.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right. So meanwhile, President Trump is also looking to put an end to cashless bail across the country. He signed an executive order on Monday that threatens to withhold federal funding if cities do not end the policy. Let's take a listen to those comments.
And they kill people and they get out. Cashless bail. They thought it was discriminatory to make people put up money because they just killed 3 people lying on a street.
So Trump signed an executive order separate from Washington, D.C. Of course, that's a municipality different from states. And this comes as the White House has moved to deploy armed National Guard troops to fight crime in the district. And for those who don't know, cashless bail is an option before trial that allows defendants to be released from jail without having to pay a monetary bond. Now, a judge will decide case by case whether to release that defendant based on their potential danger to the public or their risk to flee or flight.
And that's a big thing, especially New York, New Jersey area. A lot of these judges and police officers saying their hands are tied behind their back when it comes to it. So these people or whoever it is, criminals, are committing crimes and they're coming right out the next day, right? Because there is cashless bail and then they do the crime over and they do the crime over. So a lot of these people that they're rearresting have been arrested 3-4 times and spending no time in jail. And not even going to their court date. So that is a problem. That is a huge problem. I don't know how you fix it. I don't know if cashless bail necessarily is the exact way, but it has to be fixed because these criminals are repeat offenders and they keep doing the same thing because there is no punishment.
All right, that's your front page news for 6 a.m. Y'all stick around at 7. We'll get more into this Trump takeover. He seems to be wanting to come to these other cities, so we'll talk more about that. Stick around.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get back in some front page news. What's up, Morgan?
All right, let's do it. So today marks 13 days since a murder in Washington, D.C. after President Trump's deployment of federal troops to the city. Now, White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller praised the efforts on Fox News Monday. Let's take a listen to his comments.
President Trump has literally set the people of Washington, D.C. free.
They're so happy now that they can just go out and live their lives, go to their favorite restaurant, go to their favorite bar, go to their favorite pool hall, go to their favorite park. But I would say to the mayor of all these Democrat cities, like Chicago, what you are doing to your own citizens is evil. Subjecting your own citizens to this constant bloodbath and then rejoicing in it is evil.
So D.C. police told the Washington Post in March that the nation's capital went 16 days without a murder, calling it the longest period in at least 6 years. Meanwhile, the D.C. Police Union is touting a drop in crime since the arrival of the National Guard. Compared to the 14 days prior to the federal control, robbery is down 42% and violent crime is down 25%. So that's what's happening regarding the takeover in Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, Illinois Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker says the National Guard is not needed in Chicago. This comes after learning Trump may send the National Guard troops to the state of Illinois. Let's take a listen to J.B. Pritzker.
Today we are standing here united, in public, in front of the cameras, unafraid to tell the president that his proposed actions will make our jobs harder and the lives of our residents worse. There is no emergency in Chicago that calls for armed military intervention. Mr. President, do not come to Chicago.
So Governor Pritzker says it would be illegal and unconstitutional to send troops, and he believes Trump is only trying to intimidate his political rivals. Again, the Washington Post reported the Pentagon has been planning a military deployment to Chicago for weeks. Pritzker says he's never been contacted by the White House and learned of the possibility of the National Guard deployment through the Washington Post. Can you imagine learning things that's supposed to happen in your city as the governor or the mayor through a tweet or a post? That's crazy. But this comes as President Trump is ordering the Defense Department to create National Guard units specifically trained to deal with public order issues. Now, Monday's executive order comes as the president continues to float the idea of using the military to enforce law and order in American cities. Now, one of those other cities mentioned outside of New York, Chicago, was Baltimore, where Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott says it's clear to him why the administration is targeting certain places and not others. Basically, it's because we Black. And he adds that Baltimore is not opposed to the help. They just need the right resources going to the right places. Let's take a listen to Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott. Hey, Baltimore.
We said very clearly that we want additional agents for our FBI, ATF, DEA to work alongside our police officers on their predetermined things that they do every day, which they sign up to do, and that's go after people who are trafficking guns, drugs, and doing violence in our city, not to just be roaming around.
Yeah, I know that's right. Shout out to my mayor. And look, real quick, I just want to, interrupt and say, how about them birds, man? Listen, I know we in the preseason, but the Ravens whipped the Cowboys' ass last week. I ain't hear you say nothing about that. And your Commanders, Morgan. I'm sorry, 30-3.
No, don't apologize. This is why I choose up.
Yeah.
This is why I don't deserve. I'm not going to stress over them Commanders. Are you kidding me? This is why I chose up.
30-3 is crazy. Although it's a preseason game and people say it don't count, whatever. But
It don't count.
It don't matter
Because the Giants won too, but it don't count. Because sometimes they put the second string and third string in. It don't count.
All right, you're right.
But anytime you beat the Cowboys, I support y'all.
You know what I mean? We whooped their ass last weekend.
Damn right.
Okay.
Just back to Mayor Brandon Scott. Mayor Brandon Scott.
Don't flock around and find out. Flock around and find out.
Mayor Brandon Scott should be a model for a lot of people around the country because he is using the resources he is getting from the state of Maryland and putting them back into, initiatives in the community, and that is what is causing the crime rate to go down in Baltimore.
That's right.
And once again, just the crime reduction doesn't mean there's no crime. I think that's where a lot of this messaging, gets confusing for people. Just because you say crime is going down doesn't even necessarily mean things are safe, but it means that progress is being made and things are getting better. That's what it means.
And I think it is also important to note that, D.C. and what's happening in D.C. is permitted right now because of the Home Rule Act. When it comes to National Guard troops in states, I believe it's the governor that has to deploy the National Guard, which is why Wes Moore of Maryland said he's not going to do it. And of course, you heard J.B. Pritzker basically saying that he's not going to do it as well. D.C. operates a little bit different. So this is why Trump is able to do what he's doing here in Washington, D.C. with the National Guard because of the Home Rule Act. And that does not apply to states. So when it comes to the National Guard, state leaders are the ones who would make that deployment. Now, I'm not sure because, I will sit here and say, oh, this is illegal and that's illegal, but we see that this administration tends to do what they want to do, and they're going to deal with it on the back end in court. So, but that's your front page news, and I'm Morgan Wood. Y'all can follow me on socials at Morgan Media, and for more news coverage, follow at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit us at BINnews.com. Thank y'all.
All right. Thank you, Morgan.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.